Hello students, the topic which we have already considered last time, the anatomy of the larynx. Larynx is a entirely cartilaginous organ. Some of the accessory information regarding the larynx is remain behind, that I am going to add some clinical anatomy points regarding the larynx. So first of all, I will take a review of the larynx. Larynx is a Latin word basically, that means a windpipe. It is the organ of the phonation or voice, and it is the air passage, the voice or the speech. Larynx is also called as a voice box. It is also important. The God has given 2 ears, 1 mouth. Like that, there is only one larynx, only one voice. The man's language is the index of the intellect. So that is so important organ. Then the larynx is the part of the respiratory system allowing to flow of the gases, that is inspiration and expiration. Around 15 times it is used in a minute. So anatomy of the larynx, last time we have seen the larynx is an entirely cartilaginous organ, and horizontally there is one bone called as a hyoid bone which separates the epiglottis from the thyroid cartilage. So exactly the location I am going to review, as well as some additional important points which we have not covered last time during the learning of the anatomy of the larynx. The situation, exact location. In the introductory part, it is entirely a cartilaginous organ. There are 3 main cartilages: epiglottis, thyroid cartilage and cricoid cartilage. They are separated from each other. First of all, larynx is a larynx separate. The exact situation of the larynx is at the level of the cervical, first, second, third and fourth cervical vertebrae. It is in the anterior of the midline of the body. It is in the midline of the body, extending from the root of the tongue. From the root of the tongue, where the root is of the tongue is attached to the hyoid bone. Then it is continuous inferiorly with the trachea. Inferiorly it is continuous with the trachea. Then it lies in front of the third, fourth and fifth and sixth cervical vertebra. In adult, it is little bit above, and during the act of the deglutition, that thyroid cartilage moves upward. Thyroid cartilage or whole the larynx moves upward during the act of the deglutition, but not at the act of the respiration. That is situation. The plan of the study consists of the introduction, then the situation and extent, vertical situation, exact location. It is situated in the anterior aspect of the neck, in the midline of the body, just at the root of the tongue, and inferiorly it is continuous as a larynx. So length of the larynx is 44 millimeters in males and 36 in the female. At the puberty, as the larynx grows as per the age, at the age of the puberty, Kishorvain avastha mein, the male larynx is rapidly becomes larger, as all of you have experienced at the standard 9th, and 10th. See, everybody of you also must have experienced in the standard 9th, when you enter in the 10th standard, that is in a pubertic age, the voice changes, especially for boys. So, and the Adam's apple, that is prominence of the thyroid cartilage. The Adam's apple comes more forward in the adults, and after the age of 40, or it starts at after the age of 25, but after the age of 40, it physiologically it becomes less prominent, and there is a physiological atrophy. But in some people I have seen, it remains as it. Adam's apple is always prominent throughout the life in them, but physiologically, generally in more than 95% of the peoples, that Adam's apple is prominent, more than 97%. It becomes physiologically atrophied, and in 3% of the subject, Adam's apple remains anteriorly forward. So, in the we have seen the situation and extent, the size, then the pinched voice it becomes after the age of the puberty, and in the female there is a little bit negligent change in the voice, negligence change in the voice in the females, but that is well experienced in the boys after the pubertic age. Constitution of the larynx, we have seen, I am going to repeat and add some points. Constitution of the larynx. Larynx is entirely a cartilaginous organ. It is made by 3 singular cartilages and 3 paired cartilages. It has also muscles, it has also ligaments. For the movement, there are muscles, and cartilages are the structural cartilages are the structural units of the larynx. Larynx, in other words, you may say it is an entirely cartilaginous organ. So, the larynx consists of the singular cartilages, epiglottis, thyroid cartilage, and cricoid cartilage. These are the singular cartilages. And the paired cartilages consist of the arytenoid. Arytenoid is a Greek word. Then the corniculate cartilage and cuneiform cartilage. They are on both sides of the larynx. Arytenoid, I am going to revise: arytenoid, corniculate, and cuneiform. These are the 6. And single epiglottis, thyroid cartilage, and cricoid cartilage. These are the 3 singular. Such a 9 cartilages are there in the larynx. Then the description of these cartilages from above downward. First one is the epiglottis, where you can see epiglottis at the base of the tongue. The epiglottis is there. From the tongue is, the root of the tongue is attached to the floor of the mouth as well as to the hyoid bone. Then the description of all of these cartilages. Thyroid cartilage is of utmost importance, because the thyroid gland, why it is called as a thyroid cartilage, because the thyroid cartilage at the side and anterior aspect of the thyroid cartilage, a butterfly shaped endocrine gland called as the thyroid gland is located in front and at the sides of the thyroid cartilage, and posteriorly there are paired parathyroid glands are there. So, in the description of the thyroid cartilage, first one, the thyroid cartilage is a V-shaped in a cross section, consists of a right and left laminae. Each lamina roughly quadrilateral. The lamina is placed obliquely relative to the midline. Their posterior borders are apart from their anterior borders, approach to each other. The angle is about 90 degrees in the male and about 120 degree in females. So lower parts of the anterior borders of the right and left laminae fuse and form a median projection called as a laryngeal prominence. This is called as a laryngeal prominence. To what? They are separated by thyroid notch. Posterior border is free. They are prolonged upwards and downwards. So that is the thyroid cartilage. In an inner aspect, it is attached to the medial thyroepiglottic lamina, thyroepiglottic muscles on each other, vestibular fold on each side, and vocal folds on each side. So that is about the then the thyroarytenoid, then the vocalis muscle on each side. You can see in the textbook the attachment of all of these cartilages. Then second one is the cricoid cartilage, which is covered by the rings of the trachea. Trachea, the windpipe, has a semilunar rings. For it is throughout the life it remains wide open. The intention of the nature is windpipe or that trachea remains wide open only due to these semilunar rings on the anterior aspect. So the cricoid cartilage is shaped like a ring and complete cartilage. It encircles the larynx below the thyroid cartilage and forms a foundation stone of the larynx. It is thicker and stronger than the thyroid cartilage. The ring has a narrow anterior part called as an arch and broad posterior part called as a lamina. The lamina protects upward behind the thyroid cartilage and articulates superiorly with the arytenoid cartilage. So inferior cornea of a thyroid cartilage articulates with the side of the cricoid cartilage at the junction of the arch and lamina. So attachment of this cricoid cartilage, anterior part of the arch of cricoid cartilage gives origin of the triangular cricothyroid muscle, the tensor of the vocal cord. Anterior lateral aspect of the arch gives origin to the lateral cricoarytenoid muscle, the adductor of a vocal cord. Vocal cords also is moved by these muscles. The vocal cords of the male and female decides how the voice will be. So singers has a different shaped vocal cords. The rough, those who have rough, the loud speech, those some females, some males has a female-like voice, that is due to the vocal cords. Then the epiglottic cartilage, or you may say epiglottis. It is a leaf-shaped cartilage placed anterior wall of the anterior part of the larynx, the upper end of the broad and free, and projects upwards behind the hyoid bone and the tongue. Epiglottis is attached. Right and left margins of the cartilage provides attachment to the epiglottic fold. The anterior surface is connected to the tongue by a median epiglottic fold. Then to the hyoid bone by the hypoepiglottic ligament. The thyroepiglottic muscle is attached below the thyroid cartilage and margins of the epiglottis. It keeps the inlet of the larynx patent for breathing. Aryepiglottic muscles close the inlet and during the swallowing. Then the arytenoid, the paired cartilage, which are both on both sides. The arytenoid cartilage, these are the two small pyramid-shaped cartilages lying on the upper border of the lamina of the cricoid cartilage. It has an apex and it has a base. Then it has a muscular process and vocal process. So it is attached to the vocal process by a vocal fold, and vocalis muscle is attached. Above vocalis process, vestibular fold attached, and muscular process, posterior aspect gives insertion to the posterior cricoarytenoid. Then the anterior aspect gives insertion to the lateral cricoarytenoid, and the posterior surface transverse arytenoid across the two cartilages. Between the base and apex, the arytenoid is an oblique arytenoid and continuous with the aryepiglottic muscle into the two sides of the epiglottis. Quadrangular or quadrat membrane is attached between the arytenoid and epiglottis and thyroid cartilage. Corniculate. The word corniculate is also called as Santorini cartilage. These are two small conical nodules which articulates with the apex of the arytenoid cartilage and are directed posterior-medially. They lie in the posterior part of the aryepiglottic fold. Then the cuneiform cartilage, which is also called as a Weber's cartilage. These are two small rod-shaped pieces of cartilages placed in the aryepiglottic fold just ventral to the corniculate cartilage. Now the histology of the cartilages of the larynx. The laryngeal tissues consist of the basal part of the retinar cartilage is made by the hyaline cartilage, and when they ossify at the age of 25, the other cartilages of the larynx, they are made up of elastic cartilages. Only that thyroid cartilage and cricoid cartilage, their basal part is a hyaline cartilage. That's why after the age of 25, these two cartilages goes on change, and that's why there is a increase in the shape. That is Adam's apple, increase in the shape of the larynx. And generally the elastic cartilages, the growth of this elastic cartilage comparing with the hyaline cartilage is less. So the cuneiform, corniculate, then the processes, epiglottic, these are not generally as grow as a hyaline cartilage. Then the laryngeal joints of the larynx, joints of the cartilages. See the cricothyroid joint, where the cricoid cartilage joins with the thyroid cartilage. Then the cricoarytenoid joint. This is a joint in between the cricoid cartilage and arytenoid cartilage on both sides. So it permits the rotatory movement of the larynx. Larynx rotatory moves. Then the cricothyroid cartilage, it permits the rotatory movements around the transverse axis. And cricoarytenoid also permits the rotatory movements. That is, it is one of the synovial variety of the cartilaginous joint. Then the ligaments of the larynx. Ligaments of the larynx, we already discussed thyroid membrane, ligaments and the membrane. Thyroid membrane, hypoepiglottic ligament. The name of the ligaments itself suggests what structures it join. See, extrinsic means which attach the larynx with the other structures. First one is a thyroid membrane, thyroid and hyoid bone. Then the hyoepiglottic ligament. It is a ligament that attaches the hyoid bone with the epiglottis. Cricotracheal ligament, it attaches the cricoid cartilage with the trachea. Then the intrinsic ligaments of the larynx means which attach interlaryngeal, intralaryngeal, not interlaryngeal, that you may say intralaryngeal, they are intrinsic. These ligaments are called as a fibroelastic membranes of the larynx. There is a cornus elasticus. The part of the membrane above the sinus is known as a quadrat membrane. Then the quadrat membrane extends from the arytenoid cartilage to the epiglottic epiglottis. Then there is a vestibular fold, a lower free border which forms the vestibular fold, and upper border of it forms the aryepiglottic fold. Now the cornus elasticus is also called as a cricovocal membrane, extends upwards and medially from arch of the cricoid cartilage. The anterior part is thick and known as the cricothyroid ligament. The upper free border of the cornus elasticus forms the vocal folds. They are called as the vocal folds, in which the vocal cords are located. Now the cavity of the larynx, or you may say interior of the larynx. The cavity of the larynx extends from the inlet of the larynx, lower border of the cricoid cartilage, to the lower border of the extend means interior. What interior of the larynx, that is cavity. Exteriorly, from all directions, larynx has a cartilages, ligaments, some joints, the hyoid bone is there. But what consists of interior is the cavity of the larynx. It extends above from the inlet of the larynx to the cricoid cartilage. The inlet of the larynx is not transverse, it is obliquely placed. It is obliquely placed and looks like backwards, backwards, backwards and upward, backwards and upward, and opens into the laryngopharynx. Above, it opens into the pharynx. Above larynx opens into the pharynx, laryngeal part of the pharynx, and below it is continuous as a trachea. Then the inlet is bounded anteriorly by the epiglottis, posteriorly by the interarytenoid fold mucous membrane, and on each other by the airy epiglottic fold. Internal diameter up to 3 years, 3 millimeters. Every year it increases 1 millimeter till to the age of 12 years. Within the cavity of the larynx, there are folds of the mucous membrane on each side. Upper fold is vestibular fold and the lower fold is a vocal fold. The space between the right and left vestibular fold is called as a rima vestibuli, and the space between the vocal folds and the rima is called as a rima glottidis. Then the vocal folds are attached anteriorly to the middle of the angle of the thyroid cartilage on its posterior aspect, posteriorly to the vocal process of the arytenoid cartilage. The rima glottitis is limited posteriorly by an infraarytenoid and mucous membrane. The rima is narrowest part of the larynx. It is longer, 23 millimeters in males and 17 millimeters in female. The vestibular and the vocal folds divide cavity into larynx into 3 parts. I again revise. The vestibular folds and the vocal fold divides the larynx into 3 parts. The part above the vestibular fold is called as the vestibule of the larynx or a supraepiglottis. The part below the vestibular and vocal fold is called as the sinus of the ventricle of the larynx, and the part below the vocal cord folds is called as the infraepiglottic fold. Is also called as a sinus of the Morgagni. The ventricle of the larynx is a narrow fusiform cleft between the vestibular and vocal fold. I again revise. In between the vestibular and vocal folds, there is a sinus, a space. It is called as a sinus of the Morgagni. So the mucous membrane, interior aspect of the mucous membrane of the larynx is very sensitive. It is formed by the ciliated columnar epithelium. That's why the respiratory tract is highly sensible to the foreign particles. If any food, even a small part, solid part enters, any irritant part enters into the larynx, it gives us sudden reflex, either sneezing reflex immediately. So then the mucous membrane is loosely attached to the cartilages of the larynx except over the vocal folds. Then there are some points that should be noted. The anterior surface of the upper part of the posterior surface of the epiglottis. Then the upper parts of the aryepiglottic fold. The vocal folds are lined by the stratified squamous epithelium. The rest of the laryngeal mucous membrane is covered with the ciliated columnar epithelium. And rest remaining all interior of the larynx is very sensitive by the cilia, hair-like structures, mucous membrane is there. Then the mucous glands are absent over the vocal cords, but it is plentiful over the anterior surface of the epiglottis around the cuneiform cartilage and the vestibular fold. The gland is scattered over the rest of the larynx. Now, the clinical part of the larynx. The clinical part of the larynx, inflammation of the larynx. The clinical anatomy of the larynx, as all of you know, very common clinical things regarding the larynx is first of all laryngitis, inflammation of the larynx. It may be due to the infection or any change in the cells. Since the larynx is or glottis is the nearest part of the respiratory passages, foreign bodies may get occluded. Very occasionally, very rarely, not occasionally, very rarely, especially in the childhood, missingly in the larynx, it is a narrow space. So sometimes, especially that children's place that goatee, no. So that may get occluded in the mouth of some foreign bodies, and at that time, an emergency needed to wrap at the back to the head and is expelled out easily. But sometimes, if that foreign body is so transversely occluded in the larynx at that time, you have to open the trachea at the tracheal rings, means second or third tracheal rings. You have to make the air passage for the survival. If that foreign body do not if you are at that spot wherever the patient is, then infection of the larynx is called as the laryngitis, characterized by the hoarseness of the voice. Then the laryngeal edema. In some poisoning, there is a laryngeal edema. Occurs due to the variety of the causes, that is obstruction of the breathing. Then the mass of the vocal cords may produce nodules on the vocal cords, mostly at the junction of the anterior 1/3 and posterior 2/3. These are called as singer's nodules, a nodular, or also called as a teacher's nodule. Those who are habitual to talk, to sing loudly. So some people have to speak loudly, always very loudly. Singers has to sing loudly. So then the fibrotic flexible laryngoscopy. Under the local anesthesia, flexible laryngoscope is passed the larynx. Laryngoscope is an instrument by which interior of the larynx is visualized, and even it is passed into the respiratory tract for removal of the foreign bodies. Then the microlaryngoscopy is a procedure performed under operating microscope. Vocal cord growths and diseases are excised by this method. External examination of the larynx from the outside. Head is flexed sitting position. Head is flexed in sitting position. Examiner stands behind to palpate the larynx. The same examination of the thyroid gland. So you can palpate the larynx. Then the speech analysis is also necessary in laryngeal diseases. When there is a change in the voice, it indicates some growths in the vocal cords or in the larynx. Then foreign body in the larynx, especially the fish bones, may occlude in the larynx. It may make an injury if they are pointed. Then the piriform fossa lies between the quadrant membrane and the medial of the thyroid cartilage. It traverses internal laryngeal nerve. So that internal laryngeal nerve is used to smuggle out precious stones, diamonds. It is called as a smuggler's fossa. Smuggler's fossa. It is smuggler keep the diamonds in that fossa and may do smugglers. Then the mucous membrane of the larynx is supplied by 10th nerve through the superior laryngeal and recurrent laryngeal nerve. So laryngeal tumors may give referred pain to the parts of the structure supplied by it. Large foreign bodies may block laryngeal inlet, leading to the suffocation. That is an emergency called as a tracheostomy. And partly when the half of the air passes, very few air passes, and the foreign body is occluded at the mouth or the inlet of the larynx. At that time, the patient gets suffocated. Sufficient air do not pass into the respiratory tract. Then small foreign bodies may lodge in the laryngeal ventricle, causes reflex closure of the glottis and suffocation. Inflammation of the upper larynx causes edema of the supraepiglottic part. It does not extend below vocal cords because mucosa is adherent to vocal ligaments. So then the intrinsic muscles of the larynx, or the intrinsic muscles of the larynx are the cricothyroid. We have already seen the cricothyroid, posterior the cricoarytenoid, which is triangular muscle, lateral cricoarytenoid, transverse arytenoid, oblique arytenoid, and aryepiglottic. The thyroarytenoid or a thyroepiglottic and vocalis. These are the intrinsic muscles of the larynx. The muscles acting on the larynx, in addition to these internal muscles, the elevation of the larynx, the supportory muscle. When you deglute, elevation, larynx, depression of the larynx, opening of the inlet of larynx. When you deglute, before the act of the deglutition, the inlet of the larynx becomes widened. Then closing of the inlet, adductor of the vocal cords, abductor of the vocal cords, tensor of the vocal cords, and the modulation of the voice, flexion of the vocal cords. So various laryngeal muscles plays an important role. We will see in the next lecture. We will continue the next lecture with the larynx, remaining part of the larynx.